Let's talk about starting Kishmish. So how does this incredible company start? Tell me the founder story.
How did it start?
Oh my gosh.
It kind of actually was more of a mistake more than anything.
It was a beautiful mistake to make.
Yeah. Well, Fatima and I, because we were at long distance for so long, we had all these little passion projects that we would kind of stay busy with, and like we had always talked about like starting something together that was like an ode to Pakistan and our heritage and all of that.
Having chai is like having a heart-to-heart with someone without realizing you're having a heart-to-heart with them. And that's what I've been doing these last few months with Pakistani diaspora all over the world. I want to welcome you to season 1 of Shaam Ki Chai.
Assalamualaikum everyone, my name's Nitasha and welcome to another episode of Shaam Ki Chai, where I interview Pakistanis doing really cool things. And today I have with us the founders of Kishmish, Zareen, Abbasi and Fatima. Aslam, thank you so much for joining us, you guys.
Yay, thank you for having us.
I'm so glad we got us together. It's been quite a journey to get us together.
The pandemic hasn't helped, and neither has the Bay Area's weather. But
but now we're here. Before we start, I just want to fangirl a little bit. I want to tell you about how I found out about Kishmish. I don't know if I've told you this story.
No.
And this is not a promoted post in any way, shape, or form. I'm just telling you that right now. But I was at a friend's house, and she Zainab, actually, you know her. And so she came up to me and she's like, "Hey, have you smelt this candle from this company called Kishmish?" And I'm like, "What candle?" And she's like, "Oh, it's the motia candle." And I'm like, "What do you mean motia? Like gajre from back home?" She's like, yeah, it smells like motia. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. She's like, just hold on. And she takes it out and she makes me smell it, and I lost my mind because it smells like motia. Like, it actually smells like motia. And then I went and I ordered. You had 24 available. I ordered all of them. And that was the Christmas gift that I gave everyone in my family that year. Yeah. And since then, I've just been a fan of your work.
Aww. Well, thank you.
That's so sweet. I mean, we worked really hard to create the nostalgic scents, and it's very different to get these scents going, especially in the United States, because like smells of motia and like desi gulab just don't exist here. So it took us a long time, lots of QA, but we're here now and we're so proud of the smells.
You should be so proud, and it's amazing, and we're going to get into that. But let's start all the way from the beginning. I want to hear about your life journeys. Zareen, let's start with you.
So my family is actually from Lahore and Karachi. My dad's side of he grew up in Lahore, and I mean, in childhood we would go back to Pakistan and it would be like oscillating between the two.
Okay.
But I was born and bred in the Midwest in Chicago, and so growing up I felt a really weird complex and disadvantage because I was like, all my friends are born in Pakistan. I never get to go back. Like I don't have like this immigrant story of coming to America and like settling in. So on the flip side, it was like always kind of like overcompensating, and I was like, oh, I really need to like understand the culture and like be very in tune with Pakistan and the customs and the traditions, because if I don't, then I'm gonna lose it, right?
Okay,
so
but you grew up there, and so you do have that immigrant story, right?
Do.
So tell me where you grew up and when you came out here, and what is that immigrant story?
Yeah, I was born in Karachi. I grew up in like a joint family household with my dadi and all my chachas and my popo at the time.
Hum saath saath hain playing
Hum
in the
saath
back.
saath hain, like we lived on the top, they lived on the bottom. Hum saath saath hain. And then we moved actually to Atlanta when I was around 10, and then from there I moved to Chicago, and that's when I met Zareen. And it's so funny that you say that like you had this complex growing up in Chicago, being like, all my friends are from Pakistan. I like had this split personality, which I was like, am I like Pakistani? Am I now American? Like even growing up till this day, you just like kind of struggle with like what your identity is as a Desi growing up in the US, because I don't belong in Pakistan, but I feel like I belong there. And I don't belong here, but I feel like I belong here.
Pakistan think that expats come in wanting to spend a lot of money on wedding shopping, and that's not the case.
Misperception, because I think it's like, oh, there's these expats, these foreigners coming in, they have big budgets, they're ready to spend, they're ready to go, and like our priorities are not that more often than not. It's a culture shock. You walk in and it's like they're like, oh, this girl's from America, she's got the American accent. Like let's milk it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I already have a budget in mind, and it's not what you think it is, sort of thing. But I think, you know, it was really kind of sobering for us to see like what the class dynamics are, right? So just like the way somebody would be spoken to if they were a foreigner versus if they're from Pakistan.
Oh, interesting.
And that, and then just kind of like, it's very transactional, right?
Okay.
So like the customer service is like, how can we bring the sale in? And then once we reel them in, then it's, you know, like, then they just kind of disappear. And
right.
So my I don't know, it was a fun experience. I mean, I wouldn't like go back and change anything, but there was this one designer that I went to.
Let's hear it.
And I don't know, I won't name names.
No, don't name names. Don't name names. Okay.
This designer, I wanted to wear red. You know, like I mean, some people might think it's like, oh my God, that's so Pindu, but I was like, oh, you're traditional Pakistani bride, right? And so I was like, I'm gonna do the whole red thing. There's one time in your life you can pull it off. I'm going to do it. I go to this designer and I'm like, I'm going to wear red. And they're like, what do you have in mind? And I'm like, oh, I want to wear red. And they're like, this designer doesn't believe in red.
Wow.
She doesn't believe in red and you can't wear red.
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
like, I can't. And they're like, no, you can't wear red and you're going to wear pink.
What?
And they start bringing out these outfits and like posing and like telling me like what my complexion would look good with and like, you know, this whole thing. And I'm like, dude, if I'm gonna fork up the cash, right? Like I'm gonna choose what I'm gonna wear.
Exactly.
But it's like, it's this, you know, just like this weird fantasy that she's the designer, she's on the pedestal, you know, she kind of has this vision and you need to adhere to it. And if you're not on brand with it, then get out of here.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So,
and it's not a small ticket price either.
No.
You're spending a lot of money on this.
It's like rent.
Yeah,
It's like beyond rent.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was just like in awe that this is a thing. And then some other bride walked in and she had like a 15K budget.
Oh my
and
God.
she was like, I just pointed her fingers and was like, I'm gonna do that. Okay, fine. You want me to wear pink? I'll wear pink. You know, just like seal the deal and just like walked out. I'm like, must be nice to, you know, like do that. But I mean, I think it was like a moment where I was like, maybe we are, you know, like the way we're raised and our, I guess, our perception of Pakistan and, you know, what priorities are for us are so different for other people. And, you know, like the way we even approach weddings, right, is so different, and marriages and all of that. So,
of course.
And she walked in with her squad of sisters who all were just like decked out in designer from head to toe.
Of course.
And was like, what is the most expensive dress you have? That's like the latest style. I want that. And Khadija Shah was actually there.
Okay.
And she was even taken aback, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they just like were like, okay, fine, like let's talk about this. But I like witnessed that and I was like, what is this? What is that?
That's really interesting. Fatima, let's get your take on how you viewed expats growing up there. Like, did you interact with them a lot?
Yeah.
What was kind of the perception of expats in Pakistan?
I mean, I grew up in a family, like I worked since I was 16.
Right,
We've been working for like ourselves for a while now.
Yes, of course.
And so just like, I think the dynamic of like going back to Pakistan and like seeing people who maybe don't work and like use like parents to like throw this like elaborate wedding, like we put a value to money because like we have this value in our head because we know how long it takes to get
earn
there,
the money.
right?
Yeah, of course.
And like spending thousands of dollars on wedding dress was just like really shocking. And then I mean, it's not just wedding dresses, it's like
everything.
The whole show.
Everything.
Jewelry, wedding dresses, shoes. I mean, shoes too. Like
the events themselves too,
and
like,
they're so gorgeous.
They're
like,
so gorgeous.
Don't get us wrong.
Yeah,
obsessed with every single wedding event that we see, but like it's not realistic for people that live here.
And the pressure to show it off, right?
Yes.
Or like this perception of like your first daughter getting married.
So let's talk about a little bit about how you guys met. And so you immigrated to Chicago, and you were in the Midwest as well. And so how does this meeting happen? Tell me about it.
Oh my God.
Okay, let's hear it.
He loves this story.
So
tell me.
I started it, like we moved to the Midwest, like northwest suburbs, and like found the nearest masjid, of course, and like my parents enrolled me in Sunday school, and like
first thing you do,
obviously, like why not?
Yeah.
So we were renting out a Masonic temple at the time, so like our classes were being held there. So walked in, got introduced to like the class, which was like a small class of 5.
Sure.
Let's be real. And there was Zareen.
All boys and me.
All boys. Sitting there like with all boys in her plaid shirt and like her skinny jeans, and I was like, that's the one.
That's her.
That's my best friend.
That's your best. How old were you guys?
Oh my gosh.
6th grade.
Yeah, so I was in 5th grade.
You guys have known each other forever.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is a Sunday school friendship that has been through everything.
What are you doing in Turkey?
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
I was. What was I doing in Turkey?
What were you doing
I was studying abroad. It was my last semester so I went to the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and so I just took a semester and wanted to study abroad. And so, I was in Istanbul for about 6 months. And so that was a kind of a really neat experience and like very defining for me.
Okay.
And then I came back and I graduated and started a job like really soon after that. I was working at the Chicago Tribune for a little while, and then Fatima was talk about what you did after school.
I graduated to DePaul in Chicago, and then graduated, went to Aon for a little bit. Worked there. It was a typical corporate job.
Yeah, typical corporate job. Yeah.
Very soon after though, I moved here, and then I worked at Google for a little bit, and then other tech companies, and I'm at Lyft right now.
Did you ever hit the go into STEM with your parents, like doctor bano, engineer bano?
Well, surprisingly, no, never.
No, you didn't. Okay,
no,
that's
I
incredible.
think for my parents, I mean, both my parents always emphasized like pursuing passions and being very well rounded.
Okay.
So I mean, while I have always worked a very corporate job, I work in marketing. It's always been very stable for me, and I've been able to like move up and be very successful in that. And so
let's talk about starting Kishmish. So how does this incredible company start? Tell me the founder story.
How did it start?
Oh my gosh.
It kind of actually was more of a mistake more than anything.
It was
kind
a beautiful mistake to make.
Well, Fatima and I, because we were at long distance for so long, we had all these little passion projects that we would kind of stay busy with, and like we had always talked about like starting something together that was like an ode to Pakistan and our heritage and all of that. And we made a bunch of like greeting cards. Like every time there was Eid, we'd like make cute little cards for one another and just like be really handy like that. So we just decided one random fine day that we would come up with like some fun South Asian focused greeting cards for like Eid and Ramadan and stuff, and we started sketching on our like little digital iPads.
Okay.
And literally it just kind of came about that way.
So how do you pivot to candles?
Oh my gosh.
Tell me about that.
I actually like don't even remember. So we've always like been very creative and like just a sense like we would have these random ideas.
Right.
And she's like the last person we text, just kind of debriefing about the day, but then like also like, hey, I was thinking about Kishmish, like we should do this one thing. And then somehow Zareen was actually in Chicago at the time, I remember, and like we were like, we should do candles. And then she came to visit like a couple months later.
Okay.
And we just like looked into ideas, looked if there was even anything of this sort at the time, right? Because we were so new to this space.
Right.
And there was nothing. Like there was, when we started Kishmish, there's nothing regarding South Asians, like no gift giving. That was a huge reason why we wanted to start this company.
Right.
Because there was a lack of representation for South Asians in like gift giving or holidays, like nothing there.
Totally.
So it was just, we looked it up, there was no gulab candle, there was no motia candle. This was like the beginning phases where we were like, these are the two distinct smells that like, we think of at home.
100%.
The gajaras where you get at the stoplight,
the
like
gajaras.
the weddings. So yeah, we like did a lot of trial and error, tried to find like the perfect scents, and then just kind of went at it. Like she would create scents and then she would send them to me, and then I would create scents and like mail them to her because we weren't together in the same space.
That's incredible.
And then,
so did you manufacture everything in the US?
Everything's made here at like we produce everything. Like everything is handmade.
That's incredible. Wow.
Hand poured, handmade, all of our vendors. I mean, for us it's very important to have like not just sustainable but trustworthy vendors that are American, right? So like if we're going to be producing something here, we want to support local. So from our jars to our wicks to the fragrance oils and essential oils we use to even the wax that we have, all of it is sourced locally, and we hand pour all the candles.
Tell me your favorite founder story, and it can't be the same story.
Okay,
I want a different one from each of you.
I think one of my most recent ones, I would say, I have a couple, but I'll talk with the most recent one. Is we had our first big bulk order come in COVID. Okay. And we had to pour 750 candles.
Wonderful. That's incredible. Yes. Can you share where the bulk order came from?
It's through Pot Saves America. So you can actually get the candle on their website. I think it's still available, but it was for their holiday campaign. So they were pitching to local candle makers or gift makers within the Bay Area, and they pitched to us, and we were so like starstruck because we like listened to them. Their podcast is like on all the time at our house, and we like worked very closely with them. It was our first bulk order for that amount. Like we've done smaller ones before, and it was during the election, so you can imagine like we just felt like we were in this constant hungover phase.
Yes, of course.
Like we had CNN going, we were pouring candles. It was so cold outside.
Yes.
And we like had to move everything inside. We like called up all our friends that we could find, and we did it in 2 days.
For me, okay, I think one of the stories that's etched in my mind, amongst very many others, is the first time we pitched to a buyer, and the buyer was the buyer at Paper Source. I don't know if you're familiar with the store Paper Source. And this is back when we didn't have candles. So we just had greeting cards, and we were just messing around, you know, figuring Kishmish out, and we're like, hey, let's pitch our cards to Paper Source and get Eid cards at Paper Source. And I mean, I found this buyer on LinkedIn, won her email address, like just shot this email out into like cyberspace, and I was like, I don't even know if she's gonna respond. And then I was at work at the time. I was working at BuzzFeed, and I was about to go in for a pitch presentation, and Fatima calls me, and I'm like, Fatima never calls me. What's wrong? So I was like, I just need 5 minutes. I need to take this call. I called Fatima back, and she was like, yo, they responded, like Paper Source wants us. And I was like, that for us was another kind of defining moment as like founders of a business, where it's like, hey, people see the value in our mission, and they truly believe that there should be South Asians at the table when it comes to gifting and greeting cards and like this massive industry that exists. So that was kind of like momentum for us a little bit, that like, hey, we're relevant, and like we're doing something that actually matters to people. So yeah, it was very encouraging.
What sort of societal changes do you think Pakistan needs to make in order to encourage female entrepreneurship back home?
Ooh, that's a dense one.
Yes, let's get into it.
Societal changes.
Yes.
Oh gosh, where to begin? I think, okay, so the first thing I think that universally applies is women need to empower other women.
There's always this culture of like women entrepreneurs not being kind to each other.
I hate it.
Yeah.
We don't get it either, and we really are trying like to be not those people. Like we have people that are starting out that reach out to us like asking like, what vendor you use for like card boxes, whatever. Like it's okay to help people. They're not gonna steal your ideas. And like, that's okay. Like we've run into some issues where like we have worked with other vendors, like other people that it just hasn't ended well. So we we don't want to set that example for others. Like we want to create this like awesome space for women to come in and like try whatever they're passionate about.
Just recently there's Sidra Qasim, who is like the founder of
Adams.
Honey like, shed light on.
Oh my God.
Yes. Insane. Like when that started, like that was an 11-part series on Honey, and like when it started, I like went down and looked at comments because I'm like a really big social media geek. Everyone was like, love story, we're going for it. Like I hope you two end up together. Like, and I sent it to Zareen, like the part 1, and I was like, you're gonna be upset by reading part 1, but then continue reading. Changes. Like and was it a wild ride?
Oh my goodness, tears at the end.
Very few things tear me up, and that last installment, oh my God, it spoke to my heart.
Like, oh my goodness. Yes. It's coming full circle. And yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is like all of these things can be done in parallel. You can be educated, and you can have a startup, and you can have a great marriage, and you can be a fantastic cook. It just depends on, do you want that for yourself? Right? And we cannot be the judge of what is the perfect woman and what she should encompass. It can be all these things, or it could be none of these things, right?
I want to, because the show is called Shaam Ki Chai, so I want to dive into your Shaam Ki Chai stories. And so I want to hear about Shaam Ki Chai traditions in your home. I want to know what kind of chai you guys drank, what you guys ate, and then what you guys spoke about. What was the chai conversations like?
Go ahead,
Fatima.
Okay. Shaam Ki Chai was like a huge tradition when I was growing up in Pakistan. So we have like this veranda area in our house, and like my dadi's like charpai would like be in the middle of it.
Nice, yep.
And like we would like make chai, and I just have this like vivid memory of like after school, like my brother and I would be playing outside, and then like my mom and like my pupus will all have chai together with my dadi, and like sometimes they would go to like the local bakery and get like namak pare or chicken patties.
Chicken patties, yes.
So good. So that is like my Shaam ki chai from back home, and like I just remember my dadi would be like sitting there like telling stories about like life, and I like miss her so much. But
Shaam ki chai in our house.
Yes.
The chai has always been like front and center in the Abbasi household since childhood, and I think the way my mom has always made it a priority that when you are sharing a meal, whether it be chai or whether it be dinner or breakfast, everybody comes to the table, everybody participates, and everybody shares.
Okay.
Right? And so that's something that I think she inherited from her parents, and so when I go to my grandparents' place, they have that in their home, and there's always an elaborate setup. There's always the beautiful kettle with like a tikozi on it to make sure that it's warm.
My mom called me out on that. She's like, "Where's your tikozi?"
Where's your tikozi? It's cold outside. So and it's always like a beautiful setup. There's always a snack, and everybody's always indulging, and like everybody obviously has like their own preference on chai, like no chini, a little bit of elaichi, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So everybody gets like their preference.
So much, you guys, for coming here and being on the show. It was great to chat with you guys.
Oh, thank you
for having us.
This was so nice.
Of course. And thank you guys for watching. I will be back with another episode of Shaam Ki Chai.
Bye.